Okay, so you've got this big, expensive asset slash liability at the moment, but hopefully it turns into an asset. Sitting in the driveway and say, "Well, shoot, what am I going to do with this thing?" So you turn around, put it up for rent on Craigslist. What kind of reaction does that get? Any takers?
Yeah, it blew my mind. I literally had inquiries coming in within a couple hours. So the light bulb like immediately went off. People are, hey, I need it for this weekend because that was in July when I purchased it for. So it's
Okay,
like in the middle of summer, and people are like, oh, hey, we're going camping this weekend or that weekend.
sure.
And so it was wild.
Any sort of like driver vetting? Like, do you need like a commercial license to drive one of these things? I'd be intimidated driving around something in that size.
Yeah, no, you go right to what people typically ask when I ask them for their RV is, okay, who's going to be driving this? What's that going to look like? And so, yeah, there's, just like Airbnb and Turo, there's peer-to-peer platforms for this industry.
Yeah.
And so they have the insurance and the driver verifications and security deposits and, all the things.
Right. So that is in place now. What was it? What was your process early on of starting out?
Well, no, so when I started, there was who was still the main platform, rvshare.com. They were up and running. They started
Okay.
in 2013. I started in 2016. So I just started running as I just started running rentals like right through RV Share to use their insurance and all that stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we got some initial traction on Craigslist, but hey, go check out my listing or go check out my profile. Book through RV Share, one of the leading platforms, Outdoorsy being the other one, where it's the peer-to-peer marketplace. It's the Turo, it's the Airbnb for renting RVs. So there was an existing demand here. And I think that's probably an important place to start is saying, well, it wasn't necessarily reinventing the wheel. It's like, hey, I'm going to go put my, buy button up for sale on some place where people are already looking for this thing to go rent this thing. And so there was a precedent for doing that rather than, trying to create demand out of nowhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
What'd you charge for those first weekend rentals?
Maybe like 125 dollars a night or something like that.
Okay. Gosh, I remember these things were completely blown up during the pandemic. Like, well, I can't do anything. I want to go camping. I want to go rent an RV. I want to rent a Sprinter van. And sometimes it'd be like 250, $300 a night for some of these like nicer decked out vans.
Oh yeah, yeah, you can pay a premium. We've got some nice like Super C diesels and some nice Class Bs and some big Class As that yeah rent for $400 or more a night. We just
Wow.
had a guy that paid $6,000 to have an RV delivered from Alabama to Michigan for a festival because he liked that unit so much that it just was a incidental. The money was just okay. What's the cost? And
Wow.
he had it for Talladega races and he wanted it for another event he was going to.
Was there a target occupancy or a target monthly income that you're trying to hit to offset the payment, the depreciation, like something that would make it less of a like, this big money pit sitting in the driveway?
You know, in the heat of the moment, no, it was literally just getting away from the pain of feeling like a weirdo for buying a camper that my wife hated. And then as things scaled and escalated, yeah, then you start getting a little more granular and like, okay, for the wear and tear on this, and ours was I always say towable travel trailer or drivable RV to help people differentiate. Ours was a towable travel trailer, so there wasn't as much wear and tear like engine, mileage, generator, stuff like that. But
Okay, I'm picturing like a Airstream or something that would like attach to a hitch or like a fifth wheel.
yeah, exactly. That was our first that started this business. Yeah, it was a
Okay,
towable.
interesting. And then for somebody starting out on RV share, what kind of best practices did you find to get listing to your attention? Because like, okay, Craigslist kind of, I guess people will be seeking it out, but now all of a sudden, if you're on these platforms, you're competing with dozens of other listings in your area. So like, well, how do I make mine the one that they click on and want to book?
Yeah, so just like anything else, honestly, real estate, throwing something up on Marketplace, pictures is obviously a huge one. Painting a picture for somebody like them seeing themselves inside of that travel trailer, seeing their family inside of that. Is the layout going to work? Is it going to have the right amenities that it needs? So that's something that I realized was important right off the bat, is really helping people understand, because these people that were renting my camper, they weren't campers. They just wanted to go camping. So it was really painting a really clear picture for them. And then fast forward down the road to, we've got 45 locations across the country now, franchises doing this. Uh, Now it's all about, in this competitive, competing with others, it's all about creating value, showing the value, where so many people that jump on these platforms are just lowering their prices, like, hey, $40 a night, rent my camper. So our whole thing is, showing value, so it is interesting as you walk down that road and you scale and you start to really think about your market and the best way to serve them.
Right. At a certain price per night, it doesn't pay for the hassle of dealing with the logistics and the wear and tear on the thing, and just like, I don't know if that's worthwhile. So you got to make sure it is worthwhile.
Exactly, yeah. Especially on the drivable RVs, where you're putting miles on an engine, and wear and tear, is you've got to be very mindful of depreciation. Depreciation's a great side of this, because just like real estate, you can depreciate it. But also, like you mentioned at the beginning there, this is a liability to start. It's not like a piece of real estate where it's going to appreciate. It's depreciating the moment you buy it. So it's being
Right.
very mindful of that.
All right. So you start to see some traction on RV Share, a little bit through the Craigslist ad. You say, okay, there might be something here. I'm no longer losing money on this thing, or I'm no longer losing as much money on this thing. You're like, well, the way to scale is more inventory here. There's only so many weekends in the month. There's only so many days in the month somebody could rent this thing. So if I want more inventory, I got to go out and find more RVs. So what is this conversation like? How do you find the first people to say like, hey, have I got a business proposition for you? I'm going to rent some strangers. I'm going to let some strangers into your vacation vehicle here, and I'll give you a cut of the proceeds. Like, how do these conversations start?
Yeah, so it didn't start with that model, what I call the OPRV model. It
Yeah,
really started with, I need more RVs. So literally, fast forward to the end of August, we're having number 4 that my wife was miserable with in July, pregnant.
yeah,
Uh, all of our kids were born on C-sections, via C-section. So literally, it's like scheduled. You know what you're going to do. You check into the room. It's like, okay,
yeah.
baby is here. You're in the room. So I get my wife and baby checked into the room, and then literally, I'm like, all right, honey, I'll be right back. And where was I going? I was headed to the dealership to buy 4 more RVs.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And she's like, oh, okay. She's been an entrepreneurial spouse for long enough to know, like, we just do weird things like that as entrepreneurs. And so, but literally, as I'm doing that, the Lord was like, OPRV. That's when I got the OPRV method. Was God telling me that? I still went and bought the RVs because I'm already driving there. I'm a little dense. It takes me a little bit to catch on, but a couple of weeks later, that's when it clicked. Like, no, it's other people's assets. So that's when I started reaching out to other people. Like, hey, I want to take your RV and rent it. And it was literally one or two things. The first person I asked was my sister-in-law, and she's like, "That's gross. Like, someone's not sleeping in my bed. That's a very
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
idea."
That's
The
what I
next,
imagined the reaction was going to be like. No thanks. We bought it
yeah,
for our own family.
like, yeah, that's weird. And then I reached out to my best friend Jeremy, and Jeremy's like, "Dude, that's sweet for sure. Sign me up, man." And so there was unit number 2, and it went on from there.
What was the what was the proposal? What was like the rev share? What kind of pitch did you come to it with?
It was very simple. It's, hey, I I'll do all the work, and we'll split the revenue 50-50. So he had a 9 to 5. I didn't. I owned some businesses in real estate, and I had freedom in my schedule to do different things. And so that was the presentation was, I'm going to do all the work. We split the revenue 50-50.
How did you deal with getting getting the RVs to the customers? I guess it's all local, or they come to your place and pick it up, or just trying to think of like moving vehicles all around. Like with rental cars, like I pick it up at the airport and then I fly away and drop it off. Like it's somewhat easier, but in this case, like, well, where do I store the thing now? If you got five of them, where do I store these things? Plus, trying to meet people where they're at.
Yeah, it was me and my truck and moving units around, and I lived on some acreage, so I decided, okay, I should probably start grouping these things together logistically to make it a little bit easier on myself. And then I got a violation from the city that I wasn't zoned to do that, so then it moved into, all right, well, I want to keep doing this, so we got a parking lot that we rented out,
Okay,
and
okay.
then went from there to we got our own facility. We're like, well, we can collect storage on these when they're not being used. So we'll get a facility that'll cover our overhead for the facility, the storage fees. And it just, yeah, one thing to the next. Next thing you know, I have RV techs working for me, and I have storage, and I sell propane, and we have a dump station and all these different things. And that was, yeah,
Oh, sorry.
that's,
Explain the storage fees. Sorry, I'm confused on that part.
oh yeah. So, just like most people pay to store their RV at a storage facility. So that's
Okay,
what
so
we did. We
okay,
just ended up grouping them together. And that's how a
got
lot of
it.
our franchises run today is they just partner with a storage facility near them and they group the RVs there. So for them, they don't have a lot of that overhead as far as having to have like a brick and mortar and all that overhead.
Got it. Okay, here's the centralized parking lot to come and pick up your thing and go on your way for your trip. Okay,
Exactly. Yep.
got it.
Yep.
All right, so you get the first OPRV on board and say, hey, I'll do all the work. We'll split the revenue. Sounds good. Deal. Sign me up. What happens after that? It's like trying to find RV like campsites nearby and like canvassing people. Although those might be renters themselves, or you go into RV owner Facebook groups and saying, "Hey, have you ever thought about this?" But trying to approach it in a non skeezy way and get kicked out of the group. I'm just like,
Yeah.
how does this thing? How does it scale?
Yeah, so it's scaled on the finding the renter side. What I would create ads on Craigslist for rent, and then really I just leaned on the peer-to-peer platforms. So RV Share, Outdoorsy, and there's a couple others. They were basically handling my lead generation as far as finding me renters.
Sure.
And then on the finding owner side, that's really easy. I mean, there's RVs. There's over 12 million RVs sitting around doing nothing. Uh, so what I did was, heck, someone had an RV in their driveway. I knocked on their door. Went to storage facilities, tried to strike up deals with like mom and pop facilities to talk to their owners, and then just like if you're renting your house on Airbnb, they have Airbnb Facebook groups. I started joining those groups for people that were renting their RV and just kind of sharing, hey, if you find like this is too much work for you with your 9 to 5, I'm happy to do the work for you. And then just kind of sharing my entrepreneurial history and real estate and stuff like
Mm.
that.
Okay, like a Airbnb property manager or like a co-hosted Airbnb thing, like where uh, you still own the asset. Hey, we're not going to buy it from you, but we are going to take a percentage. We're going to handle the booking requests. We're going to handle the customer interaction, the cleaning, all of that stuff, and you could still make money from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. If you like renting your RV, but you don't like the work so much, we'll do the work for you.
Okay, so targeting, it sounds like people starting out who were used to that idea rather than trying to force yourself upon the market of just those 12 million RV owners who maybe hadn't considered that as an income stream. They just have it for personal use and they don't really care. I imagine you could probably convert some of those, but going after the people who are open to renting it or have proven to be open to it already, that's a warmer market to tackle.
Yeah. And especially now post COVID, like you talked about everybody RVing and everybody buying an RV during COVID.
Yeah.
Now a lot of our pool that we draw from is just Facebook Marketplace, just going on there and just sharing the concept with people. Hey, I see your RV's for sale. It's beautiful. If you find that you're getting lowball offers and maybe you need to pay your principal down some,
Hmm.
we've got a program that we've created to help with that. If you want more information, we'd love to tell you.
Interesting. Yeah, uh, it's a really interesting, product class because of that super, super low utilization rate. where it's like it probably sits around 50 weeks out of the year. I mean, some of the stats on, cars sit idle 22 hours a day or something. It's like for this, it's got to be even more averaged out on a daily basis. And so that makes it a really interesting asset to um, try and improve that a little bit. Hey, it's sitting around. Well, let some other families enjoy it. We'll put some money in your pocket and go from there. So you start to get some traction doing that and trying to manage. Was it primarily local, or is it kind of branching out geographically at this point? I imagine with different Facebook groups, it's a nationwide or international audience.
Yeah, when we started, it was primarily local. We kind of found our niche, a lot of people going to specific state parks for family camping trips. And so we would kind of figure out what audiences or where we would want to serve as far as how far we'd want to deliver and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, it's just amazing. There's campgrounds everywhere. There's storage facilities everywhere. There's RV dealerships everywhere. It's kind of like, that you buy a red car, then all of a sudden you realize how many red cars are out there on the roads. It's just, it's RVing is everywhere. It's, what a lot of Americans do.
What's the one I used to always see him like RV America, or it's like one big, it seems to be a nationwide rental outfit.
Yeah, Cruise America.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, yeah. So Cruise America's still around. They're the billboard on wheels, basically. And it's really interesting because learning the RV industry now over the years, a lot of dealerships used to rent RVs out, and that was a lead generation tool for them. That was a way to take new inventory, make some money off it, depreciate it a little bit, and then turn around and sell it used. And then there was like this mass exodus, and basically, who do you have left? Cruise America. And there's a couple other guys out west. And then in 2013, this industry just came up out of nowhere. It was literally the founder of RV Share took his family on a camping trip. And when he got back, he's like, all right, well, I traveled across the country like I wanted to do. Now I have this RV. What do I do with it? I'm going to rent it out. And he went online to look for a platform, and there wasn't one.
Yeah.
And that's how RV Share was birthed.
Is the Cruise America model more like a rental car business where they own the units, or is it similar? Where it's like, well, because the ones that I remember seeing were all pretty uniform. Like it seemed to be like the same model.
Yeah, Cruise America, they have them built in batches, and it's similar models, and they kind of operate a little bit like U-Haul. Like they'll partner with businesses that have a little bit of real estate where they can park some RVs, and they give them a percentage of the revenue.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love the rental business model. I don't know if I'm pausing, it's because my gears are turning. I'm like, well, what other, maybe it's industrial equipment or something. I'm thinking about the stuff that I would go and rent for my painting business. Like, well, this big 40-foot ladder, whereas it wouldn't make sense to own that because you only needed it maybe once or twice per season. But so you go to the United Rentals, I think, was the place, and you rent this for the day or rent this for the week if you needed it on the job site. It's like, what are the other things with like super low utilization, maybe kind of a high upfront cost where, do I really want to buy that? Especially from the point of view of the RV vacationer. Like, do I really want to buy this? I would love to just rent it for the week. Like that seems lower risk, lower overhead. We'll see if we like it, a trial run type of thing. So if I pause, that's where I'm like, shoot, what else could you rent out? So
yeah,
I like that.
It is amazing, with RVs. It's almost like a timeshare. When you buy it, it's like it seems like the best idea ever. Oh my gosh, we're going to go there all the time and memories and all these things. And then you realize Johnny's got practice and you got X amount of weeks of vacation a year. And I don't know, do we load the RV up just to go away for the weekend? And, is it worth it? And you get your avid RVers. I mean, heck, we literally full-time RV'd for almost 5 years while we were building this business. We had a blast and we loved the lifestyle. But most Americans, it's like, it sits there most of the year.
You think that full-time RV experience was an asset in having conversations with RV owners? I guess if people are doing it full time, they don't have the capacity to go and rent it out for extra income. But you're kind of able, like you were in the space, like you knew you could speak the lingo.
It was funny. I didn't really spend a lot of time do sales and marketing like on the road. We would work hard during the summer with our business. make a really good amount of money, and then we would just travel around all winter. And so it was kind of like the brain was turned off a little bit. In hindsight, what I've learned about marketing the last couple of years, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have created so much content and and done so much blogging and this and that, and I was like, oh, I wish I could do that all over again. But yeah, it was the business model. When I started to duplicate it, that's how I presented it. I called it the 6-figure summer. You work your tail off for about 5-6 months. You have about 20-25 RVs in your fleet. You crush it during the summer, and then you travel during the winter. That's the business model I built, because we homeschool our 4 kids. We love to travel and do life together, and
Yeah.
that was the thought, when we created it, when we turned it into a biz opportunity that we sold to others as well.
Yeah. I I admire the ability to turn it off and say, "Hey, 6-figure summer, had a great season. We'll do it again next year," versus like, well, what about the fall season? What about the if we did 6 figures, maybe we could do multi. And, you have this kind of concept that I call gravy time, where this is how long into the year do you need to work to cover your annual expenses? You know, the average, I want to say, based on a 5% savings rate, is like people are working to the second week of December before they're like, okay, I've covered my expenses, right? And I have this really thin margin at the end of the year. But we've met other people who are like, I'm good. By March, I'm good. I booked enough work. I'm happy. It's like, the ability to kind of turn it off, dial it back. I really like that. I really like this concept of the 6-figure summer. I wanted to ask for, as you're signing on other RV owners to kind of be their rental agent, their property manager, so to speak, handle these rental bookings. Is there a typical target, and it's going to vary based on market and seasonality and all that, but in terms of the monthly occupancy rate or the monthly income, any metrics that you could share on that front for like, well, what is this thing sitting in the driveway realistically worth? Even ballpark ranges would be fine.
Yeah, I can tell you our averages, based on our historical data.
Yeah.
Like this year, the average booking is 6 days this year. The average net to the travel trailer owner is right around $300 to $500 per booking. If it's a drivable RV, it's about $500 to $700 per booking. And then based on the location, if it's a seasonal location or if it's Florida, Arizona, California, somewhere like that, if it's a seasonal location, they're going to do about 7 to 10 bookings per summer. And then a year-round location, could do double that. So that's kind of a starting point that we give people as far as the owner, as far as how much they can earn. And then also there's the write-off side of it, too. They get to depreciate the RV, which is great. They get to write off, the insurance and repairs and maintenance and stuff like that.
If you're not renting it out, then there's no depreciation you can claim because it's not seen as like a business asset.
Exactly. Yeah. I've had investors that have literally purchased Class C drivable RVs just to offset taxes.
Yeah, I imagine that depending on the vehicle, that might be worth more than the $500 per booking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Okay, that's helpful. And are you still doing 50-50 rev share split, or has that adjusted over time, right, during this kind of like pre-franchise phase?
Yeah, so we still do a 50-50 revenue split. We have a platform fee that comes off the top. So like RV Share, they get 25% commission from all their owners. We have a corporate agreement with them because we're their largest customer. And then Outdoorsy, so all the platforms have their fees. So just across the board, we take a 15% off the top, and then we split the revenue after that.
Okay. And the reason I ask is, well, if I'm going to take the OPRV model to another niche, to another product class, like, okay, what's typical? So yeah, there's going to be the platform fee, and then the kind of like agency fee, the we'll do it all for you fee of handling the stuff. And then after they come back, is it like an Airbnb, tack on a cleaning fee, or is that kind of taken out of the booking? You got to coordinate cleaners to come through and make sure it's ready for the next guest?
Add-ons are a great extra revenue source for the franchisees. We have we have some bookings that you'd be amazed. It's like a weekend booking. It's costing like maybe $600-700. They have $800 in add-ons. Like they got the linens package, they got the kitchen package, they got the s'mores kit, they got the chairs, they rented the kayaks. That so there's just the list goes on and on and on. Especially when people are like flying in, if they're coming in. Like we work with Talladega, Bonnaroo Music Festival, Burning Man, the different events like that, equestrian events.
Okay.
People will pay a premium like to fly in, have it loaded with groceries that's at the airport ready for them, or it's delivered right to the infield of the raceway. Yeah, we have bookings where somebody will literally come in for a weekend and they're dropping $3,000 to $5,000 for a weekend rental.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, catering to a different level of affluence in certain cases. Like, hey, we're gonna make it easy for you.
That's the cool thing about it is it's real estate, right? It's a house on wheels, so it's so multifaceted. Like we work with insurance companies. We've had several RVs in the last couple months go just to be parked alongside someone's house. There was fire damage, water damage. The insurance company is paying us $4,000 to $6,000 a month to set up an RV on the side of the house, or hurricanes. During COVID, I get a power plant in Michigan that orders 72 travel trailers as quarantine units for their electrical engineers.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe not the intended use case, but a use case nonetheless.
Yeah, so I facilitate that order. I go and I buy 3 rental properties from that. That was phenomenal.
And that's interesting. And then, all right, to go back to the cleaning and turnover thing, is that just have a team of house cleaners that could also clean RVs on location near these kind of parking centers, storage center type of places that can handle the turnover?
Yeah, so you find people that clean Airbnbs. It's such an interesting concept to people that a lot of times hey, I'm looking for someone to clean campers, like they don't even respond to the ad. But if you go
Right.
into a Facebook group in your area and you say, hey, I'm looking for somebody who cleans short-term rentals, now all of a sudden you got, 35 people messaging you saying, oh yeah, I can do that for you. And then you say, okay, great. It's
Yeah.
campers. Same thing with like delivering the campers. My famous ad was always, hey, I'm looking for old retired guys with trucks that are bored. And then you get a bunch of people that laugh and comment and this and that, and then they message you, hey, what do you got? I'm an old retired guy with a truck. Like,
Yeah.
well, actually, I need someone to deliver campers for me to the campgrounds. I had guys that literally, they're like, Garr, just give me gas money. They're like, I'm having so much fun doing this. I took my kids camping growing up. This is a blast. Husband and wife teams, they're cleaning the campers, delivering them, having a blast together. It's amazing how quick you can pull together a team, when it comes to this. And yeah.
Okay. Fascinating. I love that ad. Hey, we'll do it. We'll do it for free. Just cover the gas.
Obviously, you have the bad side to it too, just like anything else. We had people show up to pick up RVs that, had no business being in an RV. They were just mad because they couldn't go to Mexico or whatever. And this thing is horrible. It's blah, blah, blah. I'm not taking this thing. And there's nothing wrong with it. They're just miserable.
Anything else on that, horror story list or
Oh yeah, we've
mistakes
got horror
or
stories for sure. Yeah, yeah. The biggest one we have that is always we get a hoot out of is there was a couple of ladies in Pennsylvania. They were renting an RV for a couple months. They were going all the way to California and back. Brand new RV. Day number 2, they wake up and they have bed bug bites, like
oh no.
head to toe bed bug bites.
Oh,
And so we're getting treatments, we're getting them hotels, we're getting them rental cars. We're like, ladies, my saying was always like, no rental canceled. Like we'll get them through. We'll make, because if you're an RVer, you get it. Like things go wrong, things break. That's like part of the RV experience. Like
yeah.
just things are going to happen, right? It's a house going down the road shaking and it's just things happen. And so we got these ladies all the way to California and back. And come to find out, we're like, what in the world happened? We're talking to the owner of this RV and trying to just figure this out. She's like, well, it's not me. I work at a women's shelter. I deal with bed bugs all the day. I know it's nothing to do with me. We're like, nothing to do with you. The light bulb goes off. Well, you work at a women's shelter. You deal with bed bugs all day long. and your brand new RV has bed bugs in it. You don't think there's any connection there?
Yikes. Yeah, that's challenging. Have you ever had the example of, I guess if you do enough volume, it's bound to happen, but somebody damaging the vehicle or trashing the vehicle, or like, how do you protect the owners from something like that?
Same as Airbnb and Turo, there's insurance, there's security deposits, there's driver verifications, there's contracts. But it definitely happens. That's one of the things that I encourage my franchisees on when you're talking to RV owners. If they're super hypersensitive about people being in their RV or damages, is just let them know, hey, this probably isn't the program for you, because obviously there's, some emotional connection to that RV, which makes sense,
Yeah.
and damages are going to happen. I mean, I just had issues with my Airbnb last weekend, whether it's a house, an RV, or whatever. I mean, people are going to not show proper respect and in certain scenarios. And two, just things are going to happen. Things are going to break. So that definitely does happen for sure.
Yeah. You found the platform insurance is adequate, or they're reasonably responsive to customer service requests when stuff like that does come through?
Yeah. Yeah, they're great. RV Share is phenomenal. I mean, we just had a situation with RV Share where there was some damages. The security deposit did not process on their credit card, the renter's credit card. We caught it too late. RV Share just sent us the money. They're phenomenal.
Do I need a commercial license to go drive a 30-footer? I mean, like, it seems huge.
Yeah, you would think so. You really would, because you can get a drivable RV up to 42 foot long.
Yeah,
And
it's the
people
size of
literally,
a school bus, right?
yeah, people are literally buying these things at the dealership. You got a 70-year-old retired couple. They're like, all right, thanks. This is great. We're hitting the road, bump, bump. And they're just pulling out the road. Like, there's no licensing.
Oh
There's
my
no
gosh.
requirement. They can be in these huge, monstrous diesel built on Freightliner chassis,
Hmm.
multi 6-figure Class A's, and they're just
Yeah.
on the road.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess positive that it's accessible to everybody, but nerve-wracking if that is your baby, that some, rando, no experience person is taken out onto the highway for the first time.
Yeah, the Class A's definitely, those are the number one damage
Mm.
RVs out of all of them, because they're huge. The way that you're sitting on it, and your turning radius and the swing in the back and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is there a sweet spot that you like to play in terms of the class or the size of RV or trailer?
Bunkhouse travel trailers and fifth wheels are very popular, because the audience that we're seeking to serve is families typically. So it's
Yeah.
typically the family, they're going on their summer family camping trip. They're going to be at a state park for a week. Or it's the family, they're getting in a drivable RV. They're going to Disney. They're going to California, so on. And then the big Class A's, those are typically rented more for like the high end events where people are flying in. They want everything, top of the line. They're not even driving the RV; it's getting delivered there, and they're just showing up to use it. And
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Talk to me about the next stage of this business, because I think this is an interesting, fork in the road. So you find something that works. You're signing up these other RV owners. You're collecting your fee. They're getting booked. They're making money. Everybody is happy. You're dealing with the headaches as they come up, like any entrepreneur does. And so we found something that works. But to really scale this thing, we need to, go really broad. We need to be in more geographies, and it's just difficult to do. So we need like boots on the ground. We need franchisees in these different areas. So you start to franchise firesidervrental.com versus, an alternative path would have been like, I'll create the online course on how to start an RV business, or just continue to, hire local branch managers. Like there's different paths. So what attracted you to the franchise model? Because this is, yeah, I mean, mired in red tape from a regulatory standpoint just to get a franchise approved, if my understanding is correct.
yeah, it very much is. I think it was my entrepreneurial that kind of led me up to this one, my entrepreneurial journey. I owned a credit counseling company, and I created like a business in a box opportunity to show other people how to do what I was doing. And my whole niche was creating homeowners.
Okay.
I built a real estate portfolio of multifamily unit rental properties. And I'd done a good job of automating and systems and people running, my rentals for me. Like I didn't use property management companies. I had people that worked for me and then my credit. So it was kind of all the combination of things that led up to this to where once I decided, okay, to continue to scale this, what do I want to do? And really what I wanted to do is I wanted to create passive continuity. I wanted to create reoccurring income. And what was a way for me to do that? It was to have the model where I'm showing somebody, but I'm also offering them support and I'm getting a percentage of the revenue. So it actually happened through one of the Facebook groups for this industry, a peer-to-peer Facebook group. I was just in there sharing, you're all excited about the thing that you're doing, something in there, and I'm teaching people and sharing and this and that. And some guy says, hey, why don't you start one of those up here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan?
Yeah.
And I was in the, down in the Lower Peninsula in West Michigan. I said, yeah, let's do it, man. I said, tell you what, you be my guinea pig and we'll start it. I won't charge you anything. And then we'll prove the model and then go from there. And so that's what I did with, and he's still with us today, Kim in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And then
Okay.
Yep. And then I turned it into like a biz in a box. I charged $995 and then I got a percentage of their revenue. And then I had my office girls who were like answering the inquiries and, offering ongoing support to get a percentage of the revenue.
Okay. So it was kind of a hybrid model, like this, education component plus ongoing support, plus, we'll still take we want to, you succeed, we succeed type of thing. We're still going to take a fee. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, kind of a white glove service, and we offer this and that. And then it went to, okay, now it's $5,000. Now it's $10,000. And now we offer this and we offer that. And now we're going to manage your website and your social media. And we negotiated a special agreement with RV Share. You get part of that agreement. I had a handful of locations. My location was running on autopilot. I had sold my credit counseling business on owner finance. I had built a decent real estate portfolio. So I had a good amount of revenue coming in from all these sources. And so I really got kind of passive and was just hanging out. And there was the Lord again. He said, it's time to franchise. And so I said, no, thank you. And a week or a month later, he's like, it's time to franchise. And it was a couple month conversation. Finally, I did it, just like you said, right? Red tape. I mean, it cost me 6 figures to do it. It took over a year to do it. Our franchise disclosure document's like 200 pages. Like, yeah. I'm not wired that way. I want to run and hustle and grind. I don't want documents and red tape and FTC and all that kind of stuff. But I did it. We walked through the process and here we are today.
Well, very good. You're signing up people all over the place to start their own fireside RV rental chapter franchise in their local area. You said 45 locations around the country at this point?
Yeah, I think we got about 45 locations and hundreds of RVs under management.
Yeah, it's just world domination, one RV at a time. It's fascinating. Is there a target that you say we want to be in the top 100 RV market? Like, how do you even measure? Like, where does this thing go? We want 100 franchisees. We want some level of bookings every season or something.
It's interesting as you grow as an entrepreneur, your goals are constantly changing, right? And so it was, the goal was, okay, I want a 8-figure valuation, by the end of 2024. That was the goal, the beginning of last year. And then the goal, I just went to I'm a conference mastermind junkie. I love going to conferences and learning and all that. And then after I just went to this recent conference, I'm like, okay, the goal is 250 locations by the end of 2024. One of the speakers there was Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and he spoke on his book, 10X is easier than 2X. Yeah. And he just talked about just set goals that like completely blow out the floor and you have to rethink everything. Like you're starting from scratch, So I talked to my business partner, like 250 locations, that's the goal. So we hired a marketing firm and we're got leads just flooding in every day. And then it was like, none of those are my goals anymore. It's really just, it's serving the people that join our community and just living a balanced life is the goal now. Like, so we do that, right? We're generating 40, 50 franchise leads a day. I'm on 30, 40 calls a week. I hire a sales rep. He's on 30, 40 calls. And I'm in this extreme imbalance. I'm like, that's not, I don't want that. I want the balance. I want, and you're constantly reevaluating, as an entrepreneur. It's amazing how quickly the goals, turn and shift.
Yeah, you get used to a certain level of success and comfort, and then the goalpost moves again. It's some level of hedonic adaptation, but it's some level of going back to your six-figure summer and saying, well, how much is enough? Like, what are we doing this for? We're good. It's going back to the time with the family, supporting the people in the community, being a part of that community. I think it's definitely an interesting one. So appreciate you sharing all of that. mywheelestatestory.com. That's wheel estate, like wheels on your RV. You can check out Garr's book over there, mywheelestatestory.com. Love it. And firesidervrental.com. You can check them out over there. Let's wrap this thing up with your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation.
All work works. I've really been digging that saying the last year. Is as entrepreneurs, we do something and it doesn't work out the way that we think it does, that it should, and we think it was a failure. But really, all work, all action that we take works, and it's either working on us, it's changing us, it's helping us to grow as a person, overcome insecurities, fears, doubts, worries, or it's doing the thing we want to do. It's working for us. Like there's results, right? We're generating revenue. We're adding customers. The business is growing. But I want to encourage people on that. All work works. So it works on you. It works for you. But the biggest thing is don't stop doing the things. Don't stop doing the work.
And do you have an example of some work that didn't work out the way you wanted it to? Or you're like, I reached a dead end and now I gotta go back.
Just with the recent marketing that we started doing, we hired a marketing firm that just for their monthly services, it was $10,000 a month plus our ad spend. And that was a huge step of faith for us. And what we realized was after these 2.5 months that we were with them is all we really needed to do was increase our ad spend. But it was when I had that all in, like we're going to 250 locations, me kind of dropping the floor out from under me. It was, okay, we're all in. So we hired this marketing firm. Yeah, we learned a bunch of amazing stuff from them. But the biggest thing we learned is really if we would have simply just increased, because that's part of what they had us do. We increased our ad spend by, 5-fold. If we would have just done that to begin with, we would have been seeing very similar results.
Save the $10,000 fee.
Yeah. But you think, right? Okay, we're going big leagues now. We need to do all these things. And we did learn some amazing things, and we're still using them on a lower scale. But it was funny in hindsight, we learned really we just could have increased our ad spend. But we learned a lot about our metrics and how much it costs us to book a call and our average customer value. We learned a lot of important things. So the work definitely worked inside of us and taught us a bunch of stuff. But really what worked for us was just increasing our ad spend by 5 times.
All right, fair enough. But it's one of those things where, like you said, all work works. You don't know until you test it out and see what happens. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that is definitely relevant for Side Hustle Show listeners. Like you might be feeling like you're grinding away at something, but even if it's not getting you the results you want, it is still hopefully resulting in some level of education or improving your skills and processes in some area that you can pivot and apply to something else if need be, or to keep on going and breaking through. So all work works. That may be a new one from 600 and something episodes. We may not have heard that one before. So I like that one. A couple of takeaways for me before we wrap. Number one is thinking of these expensive, underutilized assets. That's the sweet spot to make a rental business work, where especially, and maybe a bulky item that somebody may not want to travel with. Like we had a rental scooter or mobility scooter rental episode that was really interesting. We've seen people do this with photo booths, with it was called like a champagne wall or like a donut pegboard that we rent out for like weddings or something. It was like, it cost you one afternoon and $100 worth of materials to build this thing. You rent it out for $100 per wedding. Like I love businesses like that. So I think that's, it's fascinating stuff. And then just tapping into existing marketplaces, the RV shares of the world. Like if something like that exists in whatever niche that you're considering, that's probably a good sign. And if you can go and recruit other people to say, hey, have you ever thought about putting your thing up for rent there? Or even if you are, but maybe it's a pain, like you mentioned with the other RV owner, like, is it really worth the time, effort? Oh, hey, we'll do all the work for you. We'll just, just pay us half the fee and we'll take care of it for you. Make it easy. Make it easy. Now, we've been chatting RVs in this episode, but like we've kind of tossed in here or there, certainly not the only things that you can rent out for a profit. To get your creative juices flowing, I want to invite you to download your exclusive listener-only bonus for this episode. That's my list of 25 other unconventional rental ideas. Just hit the link in the episode description. You'll be able to grab that for free. Now, as promised at the top of the show, we talked about 4 types of passive income. Number 1 is Garr's model, renting out other people's stuff. Or renting, it doesn't have to be other people's stuff, but just renting something out. Get paid over and over again from something that you buy once. Love it. And maybe you don't even have to buy it. I think that's a creative example. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to buy cash flowing assets. This is the old, takes money to make money option. This could be dividend investing. This could be real estate. This could be business lending, stuff like that. Great model. The important part, if you already have money to invest, that's the bottleneck for most people. Third one is to build assets. This is the sweat equity option. This is building something of value. It could be a digital product. It could be a website. It could be a collection of YouTube videos on a video channel. It could earn advertising revenue. This is the space that I have typically played in, the sweat equity option, trying to build passive income assets. Obviously takes a lot of time. Takes a lot of creative energy to do that, but can run relatively passive, or relatively time leveraged, sometimes for years if set up right. And then the fourth one, this is probably the most overlooked one, and this is what I call reverse passive income. This is what you earn when you cut your ongoing monthly expenses. You switch your cell phone providers. Yeah, you cut out the gym membership, you start working out from home. It's the saving money is goes straight to your bottom line, the reverse passive income model. Those are the 4 that I teased at the top of the show. But Garr, thanks so much for sharing your insight. Big thanks to our sponsors for helping make this content free for everyone. You can hit up sidehustlenation.com/deals for all the latest offers from our sponsors in one place. Thank you for supporting the advertisers that support the show. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, let's go out there and make something happen. And I'll catch you in the next edition of The Side Hustle Show. Hustle on.